All right, welcome back to Morning Express. And just a quick reminder that we now start our show at 5 a.m. So we're already right into the thick of it in terms of keeping you updated in what is happening on what some people have called the Super Tuesday. The reason why it has been called the Super Tuesday is because there are nominations taking place for Jubilee and for ODM in what is started to be a very, very tough war. And this is because, it is some of those areas which are hotly contested. Remember, one of the things that may be raising the stakes at this point in time is because in some of what are called the strongholds, should the party, whoever it becomes the party nominee, clinch the ticket, there are some who have said they're as good as home and dry come August the 8th. For them, they'll be sitting pretty until, we get to the elections where they're as good as elected, according to what some of the political pundits have said. But what we do know now, Migori, there's been a contest that is coming up. There's been issues that have come up. They've been waiting for the results all night. Our reporter, senior political reporter, Duncan Kayemba, is in Migori and has given us an update. And we've also seen the governor, Okoth Obado, coming out to say that there seems to be foul play. But they have assured the returning officer, who had just come in this was about 25 minutes ago, and he said he's still waiting from some sub-counties to bring in the results. We also have our reporter, Mark Namaswa, who has given us an update, and there's also issues. And in this particular area, what they were saying is, there seems to be a problem because the returning officer came out to give the results. However, there is a gentleman who is representing the incumbent in Migori, and he's Lamek Okeo, who has come out and said these results are not credible because he has been waiting, has not received any results. However, the returning officer was calling the media to announce. So there's also issues there, but we're bringing you details. But let me first of all also introduce our panelists this morning who have joined me now in studio. And we have Julie Masiga, who is a journalist, also a communications consultant. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks, Mike.
We also have George Ndonji, who's a management consultant. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Let me start with you, Julie. Just, looking, you've seen what has been happening,
yes,
and generally your feeling as to whether this is something that was expected to happen.
Well, I think so, because this round of this election cycle, it's do or die, because everybody knows what you can get at the county level, and generally how much you can profit from being a politician is quite heightened this time around. And the competition is very intense. And this nomination period has kind of given us a taste of what we might see come August 8th, a foreshadowing of the general election and how things might go, and the preparedness of different parties to handle themselves as we go into that particular period. But then a thing that also strikes me is this whole issue of having a parallel tallying center, because we're seeing in many of the polling stations and many of the areas that people are counting their own figures.
Okay.
And everybody is coming up with their own version of events, and this is causing quite
all right, talking about their own version of events, who want to cross over now to Migori County, where we have Okoth Obado, basically to hear what and listen into what they have to say and hear what's happening there.
Results at the tallying centers, then we'll start doing the tallying. And again, I've consulted widely with my counterpart from Mabei. They have slotted aspirant to come to the county's tallying center at 2. So I have to apologize that we could have called you earlier ahead of the result. Otherwise, we could have come around 8:30 in the morning or 9. So I hope with this consultation and way forward, we are going to receive our results as the way they could have been. And now I'm ready. I've talked to some ROs who I could not access yesterday, which also brought a lot of anxiety. They are right at the constituency tallying centers. Some are almost winding, some are midway, some are starting. So that's the position I can tell the aspirant and their agents. That letter are the actual things. In the case of Awendo sub-county,
it is very, very unfortunate that after scoring a good number of votes, that particular returning officer was tempted to give me 2,000 votes. I think that is just an act of desperation. Why must we do that? So all our returning officers, I think, wherever they are, let them be serious. If you have any mechanism of summoning them, let them not be tempted to alter any figure, because they are now making us to waste a lot of our time here. You should have been gone long time. Therefore, when a returning officer, I hope you will give us that time to verify the figures given to us by the arrows and the actual figures as obtained from the various polling centers.
Okay, it is unfortunate and really fishy about what you are waiting for. What you are waiting for is to receive doctored results, to receive cooked results, because they were cooked at night. Unfortunately, security in this part of the county are assigned to an individual. Again, we also have the people you call uncouth who have come here to bring the uncouthness here. But all these fellows are innocent. We are all innocent. We do not know what these so-called uncouth people are doing here. Security people, personal bodyguards are arresting other uncouth people. So this process is actually very flawed. And you can see the gentleman sitting next to you has consulted with Nairobi, and there is a continuation of a tallying of an exercise that was commenced by a person who has been arrested. In other words, we are tallying votes that was commenced by a person who is being charged of committing a crime. We are also talking about Suna West, where somebody fled. We do not know where that person is. I think the kind of charade that we are being treated to is not the right one, because all these fellows are innocent, but what you are about to receive are not results. They are being cooked everywhere. They are being done by people you have described as uncouth, and yet somebody is about to announce results from uncouth sources.
I also have a question. I can see some governors who are concerned about what students already are there. Usually in a class when you scale an exam, you don't punish the teacher and give the student. So when you're saying that you remove the presiding officers who are trying to cheat, who is the candidate they were trying to cheat for? When governors are complaining about their exams, I am a candidate for women, and my results say, because the self-deciding officer is looking for somebody somewhere who is going for a governor seat. How about the women? Why you ignore this position? And we are also spending money and time and resources and our strength to look for this seat, but you're behaving like it's not a governor seat that is important here. I think you should take all these seats to be important and in equal measure. And please do not hide the names of the candidates who are trying to do the wrong thing. If you have a post, please avoid announcing things that are faulty here, because you're going to let glory go on fire.
Yes.
Can you sit down and withdraw, please? I'm saying this. No, we are not talking about it. I'm saying this. Governor, please. Wait, I'm doing this. Okay, if Governor, I'm trying to talk to you. If I try to seek pension, if I seek pension, and I'm hearing a complaint meeting from 9 up to date. What do I do now? Can I run away? The governor I'm trying to address. Can I run away from the meeting? We have to look for a solution. If the county is convenient, what do I do as the county chair? I can refer it to another level. If I'm defeated into possibility to work on it. So I'm not saying I can refer.
But when you say that I'm now a partisan, I'm surprised. I just wanted, just wait. Let me talk.
Natural.
we know what are the laws of bodyguards.
Can I record something here? Just to show you the seriousness of this matter and to show you that we are dealing with criminals. They have just hijacked the returning officer from Kuria East. Yes. And we expected that. In fact, I had notified even the Kuria West guys that they were being waylaid. Now they have hijacked that one. We are just dealing with thugs here, criminals. I think it is very sad, very sad. So, when a returning officer, one of your arrows, you are returning officer from Kuria East has just been hijacked. Yes, the returning officer from Kuria East has been hijacked. And here we received information that they were waylaying those guys. And now you are seeing how bitter they are simply because we have arrested them falsifying the figures. That is what they have been waiting for. And even the figures that they have obtained, from my own telling, the 56 they have has just been as a result of massive rigging in town here. Otherwise, my opponent should accept that I've defeated him square. It is in black and white. Kindly accept, Juana.
You can hear. You can hear.
The figures.
Now, it is now after 7 a.m. here in Nairobi, where a titanic battle is set for today as ODM primaries begin. The exercise was set to kick off at 6 a.m., but there is no indication that any voting has started. Jubilee Party, on its part, has lined up primaries in 19 counties across the country. Already, controversy has marred the start of the vote in Uasin Gishu County, where a vehicle allegedly belonging to one of the aspirants was impounded after it was found carrying unmarked ballot material. Also this morning, results are trickling in from different parts of the country. Those results have already sparked protests in Homa Bay and controversy we just watched in Migori. But let's now cross over to Siaya, where voting is set to begin. And we begin now a cross live to our reporter Rashid Ronald, who is in Siaya town. Rashid, what is happening? And give us a picture of what's on the ground in Siaya.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gitonga, in Nairobi. I'm at a polling station here. It's called Karapul Primary School here in Siaya. So just some few meters from Siaya town, a kilometer from Siaya town. And actually, the situation is actually different here. Nothing literally is taking place here. Voters stand up as early as 6 in the morning, and so far, nothing is taking place. No ballot papers have really arrived here. So people are just stranded. And of course, I'll just have to speak to a few of them here to give us their views. Hebu anza utueleze kwa jina lako na utuambie nini kinaendelea sasa hivi. Umepiga kura?
Mimi kwa majina naitwa Emmanuel Oduor, na shida niko nayo ni kwamba jana nilikuja kupiga kura na nimekosa kupiga kura jana, na tena leo nimekuja nimeamuka ili niweze kupiga kura, na nimekuja nimepata watu wa kupiga kura wako. Sasa sijui nauliza, je, kuna nini naendelea? Nataka mtueleze shida ni nini. Hapo tu ndio shida yangu yenye mimi niko nayo, tafadhali.
Na wewe pia karibu katika KTN, tuambie ulifika hapa saa ngapi na ulikuwa unatarajia utatizama kamera kule mbele, tuzungumze kutazama kule. Tuambie ulifika hapa saa ngapi na unahisi vipi kuhusiana na hali inavyoendelea?
Kwa majina naitwa Patrick Juma. Nilikuja hapa saa 12 ili niweze kupiga kura, lakini hadi sasa hakuna vifaa vya kupiga kura. Masanduku hazijafika, makaratasi za kupiga kura hazijafika, hata makarani wa kusajili watu hawajafika. hadi wa leo sasa sioni kama hii kitu inaendelea vizuri. Asante.
Gitonga, you've heard that is the sad story here in Siaya. Nothing is going on across Siaya and all those polling stations. Voting has not begun. Remember, it was postponed, and today last night the man in charge of election here, the returning officer, informed us that the exercise was going to kick off at 6 as planned, and called upon voters in Siaya to turn up in large numbers and participate in this all-important exercise. But that is another story. Things are really different, and we are hoping that probably throughout as time goes, the story will be different. Of course, the ballot papers will be brought here. I don't think that the exercise will also will be postponed again, Gitonga.
And have you spoken to any presiding officer, any returning officer rather, to find out what the delay is and if the voting material is indeed on its way?
Last night I said we spoke to the returning officer and he assured us that the material will be brought by last night. They were supposed to be here by early morning, but so far right now we cannot be able to reach him. That's why I'm saying let's hope for the best. You never know when it comes to these primaries, Gitonga.
All right, and Rashid, in terms of numbers, do you have very good turnout for people who've come to nominate their next leaders?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Even after it was postponed, we were expecting that there was going to be voter apathy here, but the story is really different. You can see that the turnout is good, and people, some of them came here very early. So remember also that ODM is a party of choice here in Siaya, especially bearing the fact that this is home to Raila Odinga, who's the ODM chairman. So of course, there's nothing like voter apathy. People are really determined to ensure that they come and cast their vote. It's only that probably they are being let down by the management of the party, Gitonga.
All right, thank you very much, Rashid Ronald, our reporter in Siaya, where he can, report and confirm that voting has not started, despite the fact that it had been moved from yesterday to today. And the reason that was given was logistical issues. So it looks like those logistical issues may not have been overcome. Let's now cross over or come back to Nairobi, and would like to speak to our reporter, Timothy Otieno, who is in Kibra Primary School. Timothy, good morning. Thank you for joining us. And let's start with just an overview of what is happening in Kibra. Has voting started? Is it about to start?
Well, Michael, the process is rather slow here at Kibra Primary School. We are at Old Kibra Primary School, where we are told that the incumbent, Honorable Ken Okoth, will be casting his vote this morning. He is facing a challenge from two other people, that is Martin Oduor as well as Eliud Okech Owalo, who are all gunning to get that ODM ticket for the Kibra constituency. So as is, the process is rather slow. The residents here tell us that the ballot materials have not yet reached, and even if you could see from where we are, people are just actually standing and waiting for the election officials to arrive here with the papers before they can begin the process of voting. We are told that the returning officer has not yet arrived, the ballot material has not yet arrived. Some of these individuals tell us that they've been here since 5 a.m. And they're patiently waiting for that time when they'll be able, of course, to cast their vote. We'll see if you can speak to a few of them just to tell us what's going on at the moment. Let's see if you can talk to this gentleman. Thank you so much for speaking to KTN News. Has the process of voting begun?
No, we have not started yet. They told us they are still shouting out the ballot boxes and papers at the DC ground. So we are still patiently waiting. Yeah.
What time were you here? What time did you arrive at this polling station?
We were here by 5.
By 5, and you've been. It's now 7. It's 2 hours later. All right. Have you spoken to any of the ODM party officials? Have they told you perhaps what time the process would begin and what is causing the delay?
No, there's nothing. They have not communicated.
To KTN News. Naona umekuwa hapa toka asubuhi. Kwa nini, labda umeelezwa kwa nini kura ijaanza?
Kulingana na mimi nimekuwa hapa mapema saa 11, lakini machabu ni kwamba nilifika hapa na hadi wa saa hii sijaona mtu yeyote mwenye anashughulikia sisi. So far hao wenye wanapanga hii maneno hawaja kuja. Kwa hivyo sasa bado tungali tunaongoja na tunashangaa kwa nini hawajafika. Na imagine sisi tumearauka mapema na tumefika hapa na sasa ndio tunashindwa. Sasa sisi tumetangulia kufika hapa na wao hawajafika. Mpaka saa hii ni saa 1 unaona, lakini hawajafika. Sasa hatujui sasa nini kitu gani inaendelea. Kwa hivyo sasa mpaka saa hii hatujajua ni nini maana sasa tunaona watu wako hapa wengi, lakini sasa hakuna mwenye wanasimamia hii uchaguzi. Hakuna mwenye amekuja. Sasa hakuna mwenye tunaweza uliza.
Hamjona hata mtu yeyote mmoja wa party official?
Bado kulingana na mimi hakuna mwenye nimeona hapa, sababu hata vile tangu nilipofika hapa mpaka saa hii sijaona mtu yeyote. Yeah.
Okay, asante sana. Labda tuone kama tunaweza zungumza na madam. Madam, habari ya asubuhi. Uko live kwenye KTN News. Asante sana kwa kuzungumza nasi. Labda tueleze maoni yako ni yapi? Umefika hapa saa ngapi? Umeweza kupiga kura?
Mimi nilifika hapa saa 11 kamili nikifikiria nitapata kama wameanza, lakini bado mpaka saa hii bado wachakuja. Tunashindwa tutafanya aje, na wengine tunataka kuenda kasini. Sasa tutangoja mpaka saa ngapi? Kama maaskari wa Kilimani waliingia hapa kama bado 15 minutes to saa 12. Hata wakatuuliza wako wapi, tukawaambia bado wachaingia. Tena wamerudi mara ya pili, saa hii bado. Sasa tutafanya aje? Tutakaa mpaka saa ngapi? Na sisi aje yetu tunataka tupike kura. Ndio tunataka. Hiyo ni haki yetu. Sasa tunataka mtu awapikie simu wakuja haraka, tunataka kupika simu. Ni hayo tu.
Asante sana kwa kuzungumza nasi. That's just a view of some of the people who have come to this particular polling station to cast their votes. I don't know whether my colleague David can show you this, but as you can see, some are actually waiting at the gate, patiently waiting. As you have heard, no party official has arrived at this particular polling station. No word from the party within itself in regards to why there have been delays. Once again, this is the polling station where the incumbent, Kenneth Okoth, is supposed to cast his vote. He's expected to do that later on this morning. The turnout is not so high. If we could just maybe go around and see, not so many people have arrived here to cast their votes. Really low numbers at the moment. But of course, the people who we are speaking to are telling us that they've been here since 5 a.m. and they're patiently waiting to see whether they can find any sort of explanation as to what is causing the delay for the process. 3 people are gunning for the ODM ticket for this particular constituency. Martin Oduor, the incumbent, Honorable Ken Okoth, as well as Eliud Owalo, who was a former aide to the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. As you may be aware of, this is an area, a region, Kibra constituency within itself had been represented by the ODM party leader for well over 17 years. And of course, it is highly likely that whoever will get that ODM ticket may be one step closer to getting into parliament. So it's a hotly contested nomination in this area. But of course, we are also going to be extending our coverage to Langata constituency. This used to be part of Langata, but it has since separated. Langata constituency, where there are also 10 other aspirants gunning for the ODM ticket. But as is, the election has not yet started here. No official communication from either the party or the party officials in regards to what is causing the delay, but as is, the people are patiently waiting. Michael.
Thank you very much, Timothy Otieno, and we'll be coming back to you to just find out what the dynamics may be now that we have Rosemary Odinga also announcing that she is pulling off the race, and whether that changes the terrain and the dynamics. But we'll come back to you a little bit later on to discuss that also as we check whether voting will have begun. But let me come back to the panel that we have in studio, and I'll reintroduce them just in case you're joining us now. I have Julie Masiga, who is a journalist, but also a communications consultant. We also have George Ndonji, who's a management consultant. And last but not least, we have Bernard Wakoli, who's a political analyst. Thank you for joining us this morning. Let me start with you, George. Looking at an overview of the areas that we have looked at so far, there still seems to be a lot of disorganization and lack of information flowing, because it is one thing to have the disorganization, it's another thing altogether to have very staccato kind of information. There seems to be nobody who can give you a clear answer to what is happening. As a management consultant, what does that tell us? Is this by design?
Politics, and those who go into politics, those who go to competitive politics go to win. And winning has a lot of formulas, which includes staccato information. But then there are certain things that you look at what is happening today. Take an example of Homa Bay, where we have someone who has just come in, claiming to be the probably returning officer and announcing results. And you know, one time President Kibaki said that even lying or even cheating requires some intelligence. I mean, I just don't know how you could come and spring up and say that you have over 60,000 people who have voted for a governor, and in the same county, you only have less than 3,000 people who have voted for a senator, and you still want to call those ones results.
Yes, we had actually more than 46,000 for the governor, and
more than 60. More than 60
64,000, sorry, yes.
There was Cyprian Awiti with 46, there was Oyugi Magwanga with 14, and then Enos Bolo with 3,000, another one with 2,000. That is over 60,000 voting for governor, and less than 3,000 voting for a senator, which is a mere impossibility. It calls to question the kind of integrity that we have, both in our leaders and the people we are putting up with the tasks of running our nominations. That calls to question, because in most cases you find that the people who are dealing with this issue are partisan. And in some areas you find that people are easily compromised. People have a price, and they're easily compromised, and they'd rather go for that than do the right thing. Yes.
All right, let me come to you, Bernard Wakoli. And is the words of Kriegler maybe coming to bite us? He said that we cannot have credible, free, fair elections in an environment where there is no, democracy, where the politicians themselves do not honor democracy. Is Kriegler's words maybe coming back just to remind us that he was right?
Yeah, Kriegler was almost right. And I'll start by saying that politics is about power, and it determines who gets what, when, and how. So on realization of that, you realize that politics in Kenya, or political seats in Kenya, have become the highly coveted seats and highly competitive, and everybody wants this power. You have seen, like in some political seats, almost 40 people running for an MCA position. And this gives us an indication that people have realized that there is power and there is allocation of resources, and there is so much to gain in political seats. So unless, as a country, we decide to reduce the incentives that come up with the political aspiration, then we tend to experience what we are currently experiencing. And I highly support Kriegler's words.
All right, Julie, looking at what is happening, how is that likely to affect possibly even the democracy now at a national level when we go to the general elections on the 8th?
Yeah, like I was saying, it seems to be like a foreshadowing of what's going to happen on August 8th. The level of underpreparedness, if I can use Uhuru Kenyatta's words, is appalling. People have been aware that these nominations have been coming for the longest time, and they're still not prepared. Not enough ballot papers, starting late, not having an official person to announce official results. All these things should have been taken into account long before this day has come. And going into August 8th, we're also seeing that people don't want to concede. Everybody wants to say, I have won and I have won. And as I was saying before, when NASA comes out and says that they're going to have a parallel tallying center, we're going to see the same he said, she said. My results are more credible than your results. So it's going to be a very interesting time as we go ahead. We're just speaking before we went on that in 2013, it was relatively peaceful because there were so many things hanging over our heads. The ICC, the 2007 and 2008 violence was still fresh. But it looks like we're kind of forgetting our past and rushing headlong into another kind of chaotic season where, as as Bernard says, people understand that being a governor especially is more or less being a regional kingpin. You control the purse strings. There's so much you can do with that money, least of which is development for most of them. But people are understanding that there's so much to be gained from being in political office, even as an MCA. So it's a very high-stakes game this time around, and nobody wants to give it up. So I think as we go ahead, I think people from both sides of the political divide need to come together and impress upon Kenyans that this is just a political contest, and let's not degenerate into violence. Yeah.
George, do you think this could be a recipe for chaos, given that Kenyans are watching, and it looks like even when it comes to the political leadership that we have, there is almost an intentional effort to have, certain people get the seat regardless of what the people have to say?
Yes and no. Because one, first of all, I would want to say that there is a term that has been used so many times, including by my colleague Julie here, the issue of do or die. There is nothing do or die in politics. In fact, I think when you tell Africans about do or die, they think actually it's a matter of someone dying or losing life.
Life and death situation.
Instead of knowing that it's just a dead end for someone who is beaten. So the do or die is misinterpreted. Even journalists in the newspapers, they'll say it's a do or die for so and so. And therefore, some supporters interpret it as like, actually, we have to die.
It's physical death.
Yes.
So it's a literal interpretation.
It's a literal interpretation. It's just a dead end. It's not in that process. But it doesn't end life, and it should not end life. But otherwise, what we are also seeing in terms of these nominations is that we lack the financial wherewithal, we are not prepared, we don't have the logistics, and we go into something that we cannot manage. There is no single party, including the one running the government, that can manage a universal suffrage kind of a nomination. If IBC takes almost 5 years to prepare for a nomination, then who are we to say that we can only pick people and ask them to do those nominations in 1 month?
Sure how we've picked these people, the criteria of getting these people.
Yes, and we don't even take them to competitive nomination in terms of electing people who are qualified to do those things. So, basically we are setting up ourselves for failure, and we are setting up ourselves for more trouble. And one of the bad things about voters is that angry voters are very disruptive. In a situation like what you are seeing in Migori and in Homa Bay, if the voters are angry, they will not go the direction that even the political kingpins think of.
Want them to go.
They will disrupt the situation. They will go the opposite direction. Like in this case, I am sure you will see a lot of governors, a lot of MPs, a lot of MCAs going in as independent candidates, simply because the process of nomination was not fair, and the people feel that they have been disenfranchised, and they're angry.
Julie, coming back to you, there's a school of thought that this particular election this time is very high stake for politicians, but not for Kenyans. In other words, they really don't feel like there's anything for them. It's really just about the politicians, and for them, it's, I don't want to use the same term, do or die, but it's a situation whereby the stakes are very high.
Yeah.
Do you agree that it is more for the politicians than Kenyans? Because then Kenyans might feel there's no need of getting so emotional about it. Let the politicians do their thing.
Right, it's interesting because we started off with voter apathy. Remember when they were trying to get people to register?
Right.
They had an upper target of 6 million, I think. I think by the end of it, they're done maybe 3.1, something like that. And the term voter apathy was being bandied about often, that people are not really interested in this election. People feel their leaders have let them down. But when we come to this nomination and you're seeing queues going around the block, people really turning out.
That has caught them by surprise.
Yes, and people coming, the nominations are cancelled today, they come the next day, so people really now seem to have an interest in who's going to represent them. I think at the end of the day, maybe we had some kind of consciousness happening where people realize if you don't participate in choosing your leader, then you really don't have a say in what your leader does. Having said all that, I think we are a very disillusioned electorate because we've seen over the past 4 years that the massive misuse of tax shillings and the almost disregard for the needs or the feelings even of the Kenyan people. So that also is playing a part in it. But I think there might be a revival in the sense that people are seeing that during this nomination process, you might actually make a change. change if you go out and choose your leaders. So it's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to that. But as we're seeing this process go ahead, I do have a feeling on August 8th there will be a massive voter turnout because people want to change the way that life has been for the past 4 years. And this is the only way, actually. Apart from sitting where we're sitting and people watching us, this is as close as you get to changing your leadership is if you vote.
It's if you vote.
And I think that's
all right. Bernard, your take on whether this is an indication possibly of what we should expect come August 8th, that voter turnout might be more than what has been talked about so far?
Yeah, as I said earlier on this bench last time, there's an indication that there will be high voter turnout in August, simply because we have these political formations, especially the coalitions. One is a sitting government, and another one is opposition that is trying very much, will be trying very much to host a sitting government, and a sitting government will work its way out to make sure that it retains power. So we'll have this mobilization along certain issues like failed government projects, where opposition will be trying to convince its supporters that this government has failed on its promises, it has failed in ABC on the implementation of its projects, and the government will try as much as possible to convince its supporters and other people that Kenyans that this is what we have achieved. We saw the other day the president launching the development portal. I don't know, and you see when you look at that portal, it gives an indication on virtual indication of projects that have been implemented, and the opposition is poking holes on those achievements being indicated by the government that, you see what, that's just what we are seeing online, but in actual, we are not seeing this. So there will be so much massive mobilization of the population, and on that we expect high voter turnout. Just looking at the ongoing primaries, you realize that in counties like those in Rift Valley, where the deputy president comes from, and the central part, where the president comes from, you will see there was a high voter turnout in this nomination. And they know very well that the people we are going to elect in these nominations are likely to be the actual winners in the general election. So as the mobilization goes on, the opposition is also doing the same. You see the strongholds of the opposition, like in Nyanza region, you see what's going on. Although there's so much of push and pull in terms of who is the winner, who is, results being contested. But that notwithstanding, we hope things will go on as...
Maybe I want to say something on the question that you asked about the interest of, say, the party honkos on some candidates. There are quite a number of things that people look at, subject to one's own interpretation. Take an example of what happened in Busia, the gubernatorial nominations in ODM, where Otuoma claimed to have won and Jumang was claiming to have won. You see, in one aspect, we look at situations where people are elected in certain parties, and once they are elected, they go and change. They change their allegiance, they change their loyalty once they're in those positions. And Otuoma had a stint where he looked like he had some discomfort in ODM, and then still went back to ODM and ran for the gubernatorial position. And seemingly, even when he was running for that position, it looked like he was still a suspect, because immediately it was announced that he had lost. He was there at the airport receiving President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Let me just hold you on that, because I want us to also look at some of the controversy that is playing out.
Yes.
And looking at Migori specifically, where we already have the incumbent and one of the strong contenders basically complaining about the results already. But we want to take a short commercial break, and we're going to come back to that. But you at home are also welcome to participate via Twitter. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. We'll take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.